in. And so now we're past the please. Now it's, may I please blah, 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 or whatever. So now when I look at her, she does the whole like, may I please, but she hasn't figured out yet like how to use it in a sentence. Like if it's to have something, she gets it. Like, may I please have trail mix or whatever. But if it's like she wants to come in to the living room to watch TV or something, may I please in the living room TV or something like that. But she's getting the hang of it. But I don't understand why she whines first. Why do you whine first?
I know. They all do it.
It's so annoying. Yeah, it's funny. That's not the part that works.
I know.
Yeah, last night though, she cried and cried. And in retrospect, there was no need for it. And she had another tantrum this morning. And of course you go like, oh my gosh, what did I do? What did I do? What could I have done differently to keep that from happening? And I don't usually worry too much unless there is an audience, right? Like I know I'm doing all right if it's just me and her, but when people are watching, then you're like, oh my God. But so last night we had a bowl of cereal before bed and she wanted some more. And for the life of me, I'm not really sure why I said no. Like, I don't know. Like there was no reason to say no to her, but once I said no, I stuck with it. Right. And, because it was Cheerios. There was no sugar in it. There was no like reason she couldn't have any, but whatever. It's done now. So she went into the kitchen and she cried and I was like, oh, Holly, you got to stick with it. She'll be fine. No big deal. So I just sat out here and folded laundry and waited and waited and waited. And she's cried and cried. And then she came back in and that was it. It was over. She came back in, snuggled up, grabbed her little stuffy and that was it. And then it was bedtime and she was fine.
Yeah.
And then this morning, I don't know. I think maybe she didn't have enough for breakfast or something like that. And I mean, like the food was there available, but she was playing and she didn't want to eat and we weren't at the kitchen table. And so of course I'm going through my head like, oh, maybe I should have made sure she sat at the table and whatever. Anyways, I don't even know if it was because she was hungry, but when we got to school, the Y for daycare, she didn't want to go in. And she loves going there. She's always great. There's no problem. But something was not right this morning. And I ended up carrying her, kicking and screaming into the building. But then at that point, it's like, I don't want to carry her through the halls or whatever. So I just put her down. I crouched down by the door and she cried at the door and I just waited. And one of the teachers there was like offering her snacks and whatever. But it took a long time. And you're just like, baby, everything's okay. Like, and you think, what could I have done differently? Yeah. What could I have done? That's the
mom guilt.
It is. Yeah. But, it's guilt, but it's also like kind of trying to troubleshoot for next time, but I'm not usually in a hurry and I wasn't in a hurry this morning and I work from home. So it's, it's not like I have to get somewhere at a certain time. And so we usually play. I never turn the TV on in the morning because that would be a whole other problem to get her away from that. But yeah, it's just sort of like, what do you do? But meanwhile, you just stay calm and you're just there for her and you just wait it out. And other parents look at you with sympathy as they walk by. And
it's hard at that age for them to articulate. Like, who knows what the issue might be?
Who knows? Yeah. Often these days, she doesn't want to get in the car right away. And actually that could have been it now that I think about it, because she wants to go outside. She's very methodical. When she goes outside now, she wants to clear snow off of things. Like if there's like if the bank where the snowplow came along, if it's like the big icy bank, if it's got a blanket of snow on it, she wants to clean the snow off of the big thing. And then she wants to go across the yard. She'll do these circles in the yard, leaving her footprints, and then she'll do the next circle inside and like just very methodically cover the yard in her footprints. It's really quite interesting to watch, but she doesn't want to do anything until she doesn't want to get in the car until she has that chance to do one of these weird little things. And this morning it was raining and there was no way we were going to hang around until she was ready to get in.
Right.
And I think that set it all off. Anyways, poor little thing. She was fine by the time I dropped her, or by the time I left, but
I totally get that.
Yeah. And so maybe that's one of the challenges of co-parenting alone is you don't get that debrief together.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I suppose that opportunity would be there, but I don't feel that our communication as parents is quite there. Do you know what I mean? That would definitely be the biggest challenge that we've faced as co-parents was communicating.
Yeah.
We had a really hard time in the beginning.
I think it's hard for people in general because everybody assumes things.
Yeah, I think the assumptions that we were making about each other there was, without getting too deep into our personal stuff, there was some not nice things going on, and so like the communication was really harsh in the beginning, and there was a lot of fear on both parts, which turned into a lot of assumptions, like you said, and assuming the worst in each other,
right?
And being scared of what the other one was going to do or not do, and in retrospect, there was no need for any of it because we both just loved the hell out of her.
Yeah.
And legally speaking, it wouldn't matter what either one of us wanted anyways, because it's all equal rights. It's not like anybody can keep anyone from the other. But yeah, that was definitely the worst. Well,
even as like when you meet somebody and you start a relationship, you really don't know what they would be like as a parent, because you kind of change when you have children, because it's a whole other side of you that you've never known, nobody has ever seen. And when it's not your children, you act completely different than you do when 100%. It's yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And he and I, like when you've already, like we had already split up, like ended our relationship long before she was born. So already we had that. We didn't go into a relationship or into parenthood as partners, and then it fell apart. We already had like nastiness between us because it just wasn't a nice ending.
Yeah.
So we went into it with that yuckiness between us, right? And so then we had to sort through all that now with an infant, and it was so scary. It was so scary in the beginning, just the idea of her not being with me. And we certainly weren't in a place where even now we don't really spend a whole lot of time together with her, but we certainly didn't back then. No, truthfully, it was quite awful. But we've both done a lot of work on it, and I'm really proud of where we got. But
that's good. That's really good.
Yeah. So my heart out to anybody who's dealing with that right now, because it's so hard and it's so scary and it's so stressful, and you can't shake it off. Like it's all consuming, and the kids feel it. And she was really young and stuff, of course. But I remember there would be times that I'd be on the phone and she would be in her little chair, like, I don't know, like 6 months old, on the little bouncy chair on the table kind of thing. And just watching me walk in circles on the phone with, there wasn't any yelling, but, like she's just watching me and I'm looking at her and she's like, she's watching me walk around in circles, and she can tell mommy's not happy, like there's some stress. And relatively speaking, it was a pretty tame situation compared to what a lot of kids witness in homes and what a lot of parents go through and the stress they endure. But wow, that's hard. That was definitely the biggest challenge. Yeah, but we're past that phase, so that's good.
That is good.
I certainly don't see us going backwards, because neither one of us was very happy about it at the time. So yeah, and she's so wonderful. We're just so grateful for her. All right, what else do we got? What are some things you think would be easier about the other, if you're married, easier about being single, or single, easier about being married? Go ahead.
Well, for me, I think thinking like in the beginning when the kids were younger, the whole discipline thing, like but I say that and now I'm thinking you still have to compromise. You still have to discuss what you're doing as far as discipline goes with the other parent, because it has to be consistent.
Yeah, and actually I do find that's one thing, just sort of veering off track for a second, I do find that's one thing that's a little bit different with co-parenting, is because he and I do work to stay consistent, right? And we're pretty much on the same page with things. But at the same time, the percentage of time that we spend communicating about it is minuscule compared to the percentage of time that we each actually are with her. So we don't get to witness it with each other at all. So you make assumptions and stuff, but in a way it's kind of easier because we don't have to worry too much about doing it the same, because she knows when I'm with daddy, this is how he deals with things, and when I'm with mommy, this is how she deals with things. So there's, as much as we want to be consistent, at the same time, it almost seems like a little bit less important because she's going to understand
what's
what
true.
in each household.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt, but I just think that's interesting.
Yeah. So you would, like, there are times that I'll get frustrated with one of the kids about whatever, the way they're acting or not doing their chores or whatever it is. And Alex will kind of look at me like, come on.
Right.
Like, this is a bit much today kind of thing.
Right.
Or vice versa. He'll get really worked up about something. Maybe a lot of it has to do with outside things and you're already stressed out about work or things going on, and you're kind of already, your cortisol is already raised and you're just kind of at that point anyway.
Yeah.
And then you come home and you're like, for fuck's sakes, like, why are you doing this? Like, I've told you 20 times not to do that kind of thing. And you just get a little more angry than you normally would.
Yeah.
But, and there's that. But the thing about that too is it balances us out. So if I am over the top and he's kind of like looking at me like, you need to calm down a little bit, then I'm like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, not right away. I'm not like that right away. At first, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. But then after a minute, I'm like, I know.
Yeah. And it's kind of a relief, I would imagine. Like, okay, I don't have to hold that up anymore. You're right. I can ease off on myself even.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, Alex and I are very good together. Like, we are definitely balancing each other out because whenever he's stressed out like that, then I'm kind of like, all right, chill out a little bit, back off. And the same with him. And we work really well together that way. And I think that's how we work so well together, because we do balance each other out.
That's good.
But yeah, I think the alone time is the biggest thing for me. And I know that we've talked about that before too, and it's a little bit, I don't want to say better, but that part, like having alone time, is a little bit easier because Alex works part-time at the liquor store. So there's usually at least one day a week that he's there. And then I'll have the kids to myself in the evening, and we'll do whatever we need to do. Like, he's working tonight from 5 to 10. So the girls and I have cheer from 4 to 6. And we'll go home and have supper, and Avery will just be hanging out doing whatever he wants to do for the couple hours. And then Penny goes to bed at 8. Avery and Kirby go to bed around 9. And then I have an hour of just me, whatever I want to do. Usually that ends up being scrolling on Facebook or something.
Shopping for bags that you don't need.
Pinterest or whatever. But it's an hour that I have of not somebody else there. Yeah. And it's not that I don't want people there. It's that my personality and the way I work is that I need time by myself to recharge.
We all need that. I think we all need, I assume we all need that.
Yeah. So it's, that's the biggest thing that, and I always enjoyed hockey season because Alex plays hockey. So one night a week he'll be gone for a couple hours, and I get that time to do whatever, read or sit and watch a show or whatever. Yeah.
I'm big on alone time. Alone time. I love to be alone. And I hesitate to say single mom. I mean, I'm single and I'm a mom, but that to me makes it sound like I have her all the time by myself.
Right,
so, and he and I share 50-50. So it's usually, and it's like 2 nights, 3 nights, 2 nights kind of thing. So neither one of us is ever apart from her for very long.
Right.
And also neither one of us is on duty for very long at a time. Right. So I find I get lots of alone time, and I so look forward to it. Like, not so much that I feel guilty about it, but like, for example, I had her for the last 3 nights, and I love it, and it's wonderful. And I was getting a little frustrated this morning, but that's just because she's entering a new phase and whatever, right? But I rarely get to that point because I get a break, like in the next day or so. And so today, he's picking her up from school, and I know that for the next 2 days I'm free. I have the whole evening to myself.
Yeah.